Senator Nhlanhla, a very good morning to you. Now, we understand that you are preparing to take legal action with regard to this. You were due to meet with your lawyers or your attorneys this morning. Have you had that meeting? And if so, what was the outcome of that?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show. Yeah, we had a meeting with our legal team this morning. The decision was unanimous. We will be proceeding with the legal steps in as far as the decision that was made yesterday evening by the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Obviously, this is on the back of the proposed legal action which we intended taking during the course of last week. However, we were advised then by the State Attorney acting on behalf of the Presidency to withdraw that application, as the President was due to make an announcement in as far as the sale of cigarettes. That announcement was made, and the President unequivocally stated at the time that cigarette sales would be permitted. So we were obviously taken aback by the decision yesterday by the Minister. So, yes, we will be proceeding with legal action.
All right, well, the Minister explaining that U-turn or that about-turn last night, saying that, of course, cigarettes affect the lungs, we know that, and smoking in public, or even people sharing cigarettes, or even when they're rolling tobacco and, using, like she said, a spit to stick it together, all of those things pose risk. And, of course, you can't leave yourself vulnerable because it does attack the lungs as well. So what will be the basis of your argument in taking this legal action?
Of course. The health effects of smoking have never been denied, I think, by any industry body. What we're saying is that currently the regulations, in as far as they relate to smoking, have not actually prevented people from smoking. There's countless research that's been published over the course of the last week, for instance, stating that people are still smoking the same amount of cigarettes as they had access to prior to the lockdown. Now, the issue of the illicit trade in cigarettes is well documented and was a much publicized issue prior to the lockdown even. What has now since happened is that problem has now grown exponentially. What is happening and what we're suggesting to government is that they are losing billions in as far as the fiscus is concerned. And that money, if they had allowed the legitimate industry to trade, could have been used to tackle issues such as the spread of the coronavirus. So what we're saying is that smoking hasn't stopped, and another negative effect is that the illicit trade has grown exponentially in relation to the lockdown period.
So what would you say to those who say, yes, that might be one argument, is that you are concerned now that people are buying counterfeit cigarettes, they're getting it on the black market, you don't know what's in this. On that side, that might be understandable, but that you are putting profit ahead of health under the guise of being concerned about people's health?
No, that is definitely not the case. That is definitely not the case. When you look at the efforts that industry and government have gone to over the last few years to combat the illicit trade, you will understand that ultimately the legitimate tobacco industry, as we know it, is under serious threat due to the networks that are now expanding their networks. The illicit traders were expanding their networks beyond what was already a problematic situation. So what we're saying is that our industry and jobs on a large scale are under serious threat right now, and we have to do something drastic in order to at least attempt to prevent that from happening.
So what would you propose if, and like we know in Nhlanhla, things are changing all the time in dealing with our current situation. Anything is possible, things can change. In taking this to court, how would you propose, if government were to allow this at some point in the coming days, how would you propose this be done? Because you're going to have people who are going to be rushing to cigarette counters. You're going to have people, and also in the way they smoke and how they're doing this, even if they're doing it in the confines of their own home. When it comes to the health, like you say, that is top of mind for you, how will you propose this be done if it were to come to that?
Look, what we say is that obviously people are still smoking. People are now, because they are not able to access cigarettes in retail stores and other informal traders who are currently permitted to trade, they are, in essence, violating the provisions of the regulations and traveling to all sorts of areas in order to access these cigarettes. If you permitted these cigarettes to be sold in a similar fashion to what other products are currently being sold in supermarkets and spaza shops and so forth, I think that would, in essence, reduce the risk in as far as the traveling and movement of people and be in line with what is already in place in as far as government is concerned. We're not, advocating for some sort of laissez-faire approach We're merely saying, listen, this is already the situation, this is already the position, and as far as the movement of people, allow them to at least purchase them in these spaces that you've already allowed people to purchase other goods.
So bearing in mind that government can't be seen to be giving the green light to something that might pose a bigger health risk or a greater health risk in a time of COVID-19, what is your next move then?
We understand that, but I mean, if you're going to take that stance, then we have to look at other items which are also a potential health risk. At this stage, we are approaching a court, and I think a court would be best placed to make a ruling on this issue, because we have attempted to ad nauseum to engage government in this particular issue, and we've had no luck in as far as that is concerned. So we will leave it in the hands of the court.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks very much there for that. Well, that is the great debate on cigarettes and the sale of cigarettes, I suppose, partner, and kind of understand where government is coming from. There's the other side of people getting their hands on very dangerous products on the black market as well.
I mean, if you think about health, it's health first, and it's a difficult balance.
It's very difficult.
To strike. Thank you very much.